The last week of September usually drifted through Cresswillow unnoticed, little more than a pause between the clamorous county fair and the approach of pumpkin orangeole October. Teachers settled into routines, shopkeepers rotated displays from summer clearances to autumn plaids, and the river that sliced the town in two shrank to a glassy ribbon after its spring surges. In such a rhythm of predictable days, Ms. Leela Marino, 8th grade history teacher, reluctant attic cleaner, and endlessly curious soul stumbled upon something odd enough to tilt the season on its axis. Her discovery came on a Thursday evening in the school's archive room, a cramped space that smelled of dust, chalk, and old mimeograph fluid. She was digging for primary sources to enliven Monday's lesson on municipal founding charters when the cardboard box collapsed in her arms, spilling its contents across the linoleum. Among the jumble, yellow meeting minutes, defunct hall passes, a chipped trophy labeled Most Improved Debate Team 1976 lay a wooden tablet roughly the size of a placemat, its edges singed as if saved from a fire. Carved into its surface was a calendar that stopped at the year 1894, each month bordered by simple images: ears of corn, wagon wheels, coal lamps. September, however, bore a carving of an open hand with rays emanating from its palm and the words Ordinary Heroes Day 28th. Lila squinted, pushing her glasses higher on her nose. Ordinary Heroes Day? The phrase rang no bell, and her mental catalog of obscure civic holidays was extensive. She traced the grooves of the letters, feeling splinters catch at her fingertips. Beneath the date someone had scratched in hurried cursive, Remember who keeps the town turning. The next morning, she carried the tablet into her first period class like an artifact from a tomb. 14 adolescents lifted their heads from notebooks and phone screens as she raised it overhead. Pop quiz, she announced. Who can tell me what holiday Cresswillow used to celebrate on September 28th? Blank faces? Exactly, she said. No one knows yet. She lowered the tablet onto the front desk as if placing a keystone. We're going to find out. Research became a collective adventure. During lunch, they hauled yearbooks and microfilm to the library, peering through reels while peanut butter sandwiches dangled forgotten in their hands. The town newspaper archives revealed sporadic references, a 1871 editorial praising the bravery of milkmen during the flood, a 1882 notice of a parade honoring post riders and laundrywomen, then abruptly silence. After 1894, Ordinary Heroes Day vanished, replaced by nothing more than regular autumn days and, in later decades, homecoming hype. In the teacher's lounge, Leela shared her findings, expecting polite nods. Instead, she found unexpected spark in the eyes of Coach Daly, who remembered tales his grandmother told of schoolchildren handing carnations to street sweepers. The school counselor recalled a dusty box of ribbons marked Courage for the Common, found during a building renovation. Rumors sprouted and wound through the hallways like ivy. The ghost of forgotten gratitude was stretching awake. Friday evening, Lila attended the town council's open forum. She had never spoken at the mahogany lectern before, but when she unfolded the tablet from its burlap wrap, the room hushed. Cresswillow once held a celebration for the people who make life livable, she announced. She outlined the evidence: newspaper clippings, ledger notes, oral histories. We are surrounded by everyday heroes: nurses, mechanics, cafeteria workers, the kid who shovels his neighbor's driveway without being asked. I propose we bring Ordinary Heroes Day back. Mayor Estelle Aldridge, who usually measured enthusiasm like a pharmacist measures morphine, tapped her gavel lightly. Ms. Moreno, reinstating a holiday requires a budget, permits, and community interest. That last one's been in short supply. She gestured at the near-empty gallery. Only 3 residents had shown up, and one was there to complain about stray cats. Lila inhaled through her nose. Then let's create the interest, she replied. Give us a week. If we can produce a plan and volunteers, will the council approve? A murmur flitted through the chamber. Finally, Aldridge nodded. 1 week. Show us a festival worth sanctioning. By Saturday morning, a planning committee formed like iron filings to a magnet. Rory Kim, the town librarian, offered the reading porch for brainstorming sessions. Firefighter Mateo Reyes promised a ladder truck for decoration. High school junior Tessa One volunteered her graphic design skills, whipping up a poster that featured clasped hands beneath the caption, Celebrate the ones who save the day without capes. They decided to keep the holiday's original date, only 6 days away. Cresswillow reacted as towns often do, 1/3 excitement, 1/3 skepticism, 1/3 ignoring the commotion entirely. At the Sunflower Cafe, regulars debated whether everyday hero was just a feel-good phrase. Gracie, the waitress, snapped her towel at their doubt. Who brings you extra syrup, even when we're slammed, she demanded. That's heroism, Clarence. Clarence, chastened, signed up to run the grill booth. Momentum built in coffee lines, barber shops, and checkout aisles. People craved a reason to share gratitude they normally swallowed like unsent letters. The committee divided tasks. Ms. Moreno and her students documented the town's unsung contributors. They filmed the crossing guard who danced in traffic, the night nurse who hummed lullabies to elderly patients, the garbage man who left chalk hearts on children's driveways during lockdowns. Each profile would play on a portable screen in the park the day of the festival. Meanwhile, Coach Daly organized a strength of service obstacle course where teams representing different professions would tackle challenges, hauling weighted recycling bins, bandaging water balloon injuries, assembling picnic benches. The winning team wouldn't receive cash, but rather a rotating trophy made of recycled wrenches. Lila visited the Cresswillow Historical Society to hunt for any clue explaining why the holiday died. The curator, Miss Ellington, guided her to a ledger from 1895. There, in looping ink, the town clerk had written, "Festivities canceled due to dissent over who merits the term hero." Below that, a second line, "Citizens quarreled, gratitude led to envy, parade devolved to argument." Lila closed the book slowly. People had once let comparison eclipse appreciation. She resolved not to repeat the mistake. Public nominations opened on Monday through drop boxes at the grocery, library, and school. By Tuesday, the slots overflowed with crumpled slips. My neighbor Jorge, who fixes bikes for free. The 9/11 dispatcher who kept me calm when Dad's heart stopped. Ms. Augustin, cafeteria cook without her jokes, lunch would be gray. The committee decided no one would be turned away. Every nominee would receive a daffodil pin and a handwritten note delivered on festival morning. On Wednesday, the mayor remained wary. She worried about insurance, crowd control, potential disgruntlement if someone felt overlooked. Lila countered with a risk assessment spreadsheet and the promise of volunteer marshals. She also presented the ledger entry about the holiday's demise. "We know where the pitfalls lie," she said. "We're building bridges, not pedestals." The mayor, who secretly loved a good pep rally, allowed herself a tight smile. The town's high school marching band agreed to lead a parade populated by decorated carts instead of floats, each cart honoring a category of everyday heroes. Educators, caretakers, fixers, growers, protectors, listeners. Children painted cardboard panels with scenes of kindness. A mechanic showing a teenager how to check oil. A librarian finding just right books. A grocer pushing a stalled car in the rain. They sprinkled glitter so thick it shimmered like morning frosts. Behind the scenes, Lila's students assembled the Hall of Gratitude in the community pavilion. Paper lanterns dangled from rafters, every lantern bearing the name of a nominated individual. As more nominations poured in, lanterns multiplied until the ceiling resembled a constellation made of ordinary lives. On a chalkboard, they wrote a quote salvaged from a century-old editorial. "In recognizing each other, we reveal the town's truest shape." Finally, September 28th dawned with a sky polished clean by midnight rain. Volunteers met at sunup to chalk parade routes and set up booths. Lila, fueled by 3 hours of sleep and the adrenaline of possibility, circulated with a checklist and a thermos the size of a fire hydrant. She paused often, absorbing fragments of conversation. "I never realized how many pies Faye baked for the shelter." "Did you see the mechanic's cart? Tires stacked like trophies. Those kids look proud pushing Grandpa's wheelchair in the lineup." At 10 o'clock, the courthouse bell rang and the festival sprang to life. The marching band's brass burst down Main Street in a cascade of sharps and flats. Behind them rolled the carts, pulled by volunteers dressed not in costumes, but in their everyday work clothes. A nurse's scrubs, a janitor's coveralls, a delivery driver's reflective vest. Spectators lining the sidewalks waved banners that read, "Thank you," in languages reflecting Cresswillow's patchwork heritage. "Gracias, danke, kamsahamnida, mercy." Some heroes blushed, unused to applause. Others waved sheepishly, their normal posture of invisibility broken by sudden limelight. The obstacle course roared with cheers as Team Daybreak Bakery squared off against Public Works warriors. Flour-dusted aprons flapped as bakers dragged sacks of mock cement while utility workers deftly balanced trays of cupcakes across a seesaw. Judge Mateo, helmet gleaming, laughed harder than he had in months. No one cared who won. They cared that each effort sparked congratulations instead of competition. Under the oak canopy of Riverside Park, Rory hosted Story Swap. Residents stepped up top a small hay bale to tell 60-second tales. How Mr. Chen, the bus driver, kept toy cars in his pocket to calm anxious kindergarteners. How postal carrier D sang happy birthday through mail slots to shut-ins. Each story ended with a bell clang and a unison shout of hero of the everyday. But the day's heart beat inside the pavilion. As sunlight filtered through the lantern galaxy, people craned their necks to find names. A hush replaced the carnival noise. Some visitors wept softly, others snapped photos to send to relatives. Lila watched from the doorway, throat rising like bread in an oven. A student tugged her sleeve. "Miss Moreno?" He pointed to a lantern inscribed, "Lila Moreno, teacher who sees us." She blinked hard, warmth blooming behind her eyes. Mid-afternoon, Mayor Aldridge took the small stage. Gone was her customary gavel. She held instead a ribbon of daffodil pins. Her voice, amplified over a borrowed PA system, carried a quiver. "I stand corrected," she began. "I thought it impossible to resurrect a holiday from splinters. I forgot that splinters are pieces of something sturdy." She gestured at the crowd. "Thank you for reminding us that heroism is daily and communal." She pinned a daffodil to her blazer and offered another to Lila, who accepted with hands trembling as if receiving a medal. As dusk approached, the committee prepared the final ceremony. Lights for lives. Residents formed a circle around the riverbank, each clutching a paper lantern lit from within. One by one, they spoke a name while setting their lantern afloat. The water mirrored countless small suns, drifting beneath the bridge and around a bend, carrying gratitude downstream. Lila released hers last to everyone who chooses kindness when indifference would be easier, and watched it glide away, its reflection twinning in the current. The festival officially ended at 9, but conversations lingered in puddles of lamplight. Strangers who had applauded each other hours earlier traded phone numbers, recipes, repair tips. The spice of new friendships hung like smoke from a distant campfire. Cresswillow in one sweeping day felt smaller and grander all at once, as though the town had discovered its own echo. Monday morning, the school hallways buzzed under the weight of shared experience. Students wore daffodil pins on backpacks. Teachers used the obstacle course footage to illustrate cooperation in physics lessons. The newspaper featured a front-page spread titled "Holiday Returns, Reminds Us Why We Work." Online comments overflowed with suggestions for next year. Add a community mural, invite neighboring towns, start a scholarship for vocational training. At a debrief meeting, Mayor Aldridge announced the council's unanimous vote to adopt Ordinary Heroes Day as an official municipal holiday, budget and all. Her aide presented Lila with the wooden calendar tablet now encased in glass. "Let this never get lost again," the mayor said, "and may we add new carvings as years go by." Yet the holiday's greatest legacy sprouted quietly. People who had been thanked found themselves thanking others with renewed awareness. Garbage collectors left chalk hearts, homeowners left lemonade, nurses hummed lullabies, and janitors whistled show tunes, not as obligations, but as gifts they recognized carried power. Gratitude looped back on itself. A Mobius strip binding the town. Late October dipped the trees in butterscotch hues when Lila sat beside Rory on the library porch, sipping cider. "We almost didn't do it," she mused. "All that could have gone wrong. Disagreements, indifference." Rory tilted her head. "We remembered the forgotten lesson. Celebrating one person never diminishes another. It only broadens the circle." Wind stirred the chimes overhead, releasing a soft metallic chord as if the air itself applauded. In years to come, Ordinary Heroes Day would evolve. Balloon races, poetry slams, a flea market of free skills where carpenters taught hammer safety and accountants offered budgeting tips. The holiday became the hinge upon which Cresswillow's identity swung. Visitors marveled at a community that cheered for its crossing guards louder than some cities cheered for sports teams. They asked for the secret. Residents shrugged. "We just remember who keeps the town turning." Some credited Ms. Moreno, some cited relentless students, others believed the wooden calendar possessed a magic that searched for worthy custodians. Lila, sorting homework one evening, smiled at such theories. She knew the truth was simpler and more astonishing. Heroism is ordinary because ordinary people are capable of heroism. Sometimes all it takes is an open hand etched onto an old piece of wood and the courage to treat splinters as seeds. As she locked her classroom for the night, the corridor lights dimmed, casting long shadows that overlapped like interlaced fingers. Beyond the glass doors, the town glimmered with porch bulbs, street lamps, and, in one window, the flicker of a welding torch, someone repairing hinges so tomorrow would open smoothly for strangers. Leela imagined the river still ferrying lanterns far beyond city limits, bright pinpoints wandering into wider darkness, testifying, once upon a forgotten holiday, ordinary heroes remembered themselves, and nothing was quite the same thereafter.